I'm Michael Smith. I'm a performance, video, installation artist, miscellaneous media. I first met Mike Kelley, in 1975. I was visiting the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, where he was in school. Mike was this kind of very thin, pale, kind of pimply guy. And he had this kind of whiny voice like that. And where I met him was this house where he and I think Jim Shaw and a bunch of people lived. I think it was God's Oasis. And I remember going into that place and there was some god-awful music coming from it. I think it could have been Destroy All Monsters. It was just unlistenable. And then the place reeked of cat piss. It was really not pleasant. And then Mike invited me downstairs. He said, come on downstairs, it's quieter here. And I was thinking, oh my God, what's going on down there? And it was totally clean. So we had that neatnik gene in common. Doug's this incredible performer, really talented musician, composer, and writer. We started doing these puppet shows. I was interested in doing juvenile humor for adults. They were like very potty oriented. And we had talking toilets, and it was this very incestuous little group of puppets. And anyways, Mike said, oh, come out and do one. And so he had a party, and we did it was fun.
Slow day today. Oh, you're telling me. No, customers. Sluggish. Very much so. Oh, yeah. Well, should be coffee break soon. Oh, yeah.
An opportunity came up in the early 80s. It may have been 82. It was this teleconference. I think it was going from New York to Iowa to California. And Mike and I started to exchange ideas about it. So we started sending audio files, audio tapes back and forth. He sent me an audio cassette, and I listened to it, and then I sort of filled in the blanks. The project was supposedly be a teleconference, you know, we're both being taped. It was a complete mess, a total failure. I didn't even think about looking at it until after Mike died, and then I listened to it. It was just great, choice stuff.
Boy, am I hungry.
The solitary, morbid pastime.
I don't think I've eaten anything since breakfast.
Playing solitaire, playing hangman.
Let's see what's in the refrigerator.
At a certain point in my career, at a certain point, I was interested in working with other people with the baby. I had worked with another artist named Seth Price, and we did a project called Playground, which we showed at Emmy Fontana's gallery in Italy. And we also showed it in a place called Cannes, in Neuchâtel. And Mike saw the piece at Cannes. He came there with Emmy. And he liked it. He was intrigued. And I said, hey, Mike, would you maybe we'll do something, baby. He said, yeah, I'll think about it. And so we started to get together over in the summers. I think we spent like a couple weekends over a couple summers' time. I mean, Mike was really busy, and it was hard to block out time, but he blocked it out. It was also an excuse for us to get together, catch up, and we would just lock ourselves up in his compound on Figueroa, eat, drink, and look at like cartoons and theme-related movies around babies. He started brainstorming. He said, you know, maybe we should work on, I think we should send the baby to a rave. And he said, you know, we'll get a core group of actors. And I said, I'm not so comfortable with that, Mike. I'm not really an improviser. And then he said, well, how about Burning Man? And I really was not that familiar with Burning Man. And I thought about it, and then all of a sudden, I said, we'll try it. And he said, we'll go to Burning Man. I had a studio visit with this curator from the Sculpture Center in New York, and I just happened to mention, they said, what are you working on? And I said, oh, I'm talking to Mike about doing this project. We're going to go to Burning Man with the baby. And she said, oh, we want to do that. So I went and we got all this material, and I did the kind of front load and Mike did the back. And it was interesting when I was wandering on in that, you know, diaper and stuff. It was, most people were, the majority of people were indifferent. Occasionally there would be some nurturing going on. And one lady actually came up to me, one woman came up and she sort of put her arms around me. She says, "I'm lactating." I thought, oh, this is going into a play. The baby walked away. And then Mike sat on the material for about 6 months, and we had to we had a date for it in the next fall. I said, "How is it?" I was really worried. I thought he was going to say, "Mike, this is shit." And he looked at me and said, "Mike, we got something here." And then it was sort of I think a 6 video installation. Then he started coming up with design for for set pieces. And the next thing I know, I mean, Mike was kind of, compared to me, was kind of this size queen. They just came up with this huge like thing. I don't know how that came about, but we were thinking about a junk sculpture, because there's a lot of junk sculptures. And I know somebody in Austin, this artist Andy Colquitt, who made it there. So Mike came down and they made it there, and then they shipped it to New York, and then we did it, and it was a huge success. He was like, when the press came out in New York, he was so surprised. He said, "I've never gotten this kind of press in New York. I don't understand it." Mike was a complicated guy. I always was curious about the construction of his kind of persona around himself. I showed a video last night that had him dancing a little. I think he was the Land O'Lakes squaw, I think, dressed up, but it was really weird. And he was dancing, and I remember being at a number of parties where all of a sudden Mike just appeared, just flailing and dancing. Great dancer. Yeah, that's the little tidbit I have for him.